Look into your aquarium right now. The glass has a green film creeping across it. The substrate is littered with debris. There is brown gunk in the corners, algae on the decorations, and a haze in the water that no amount of staring seems to fix. Your instinct is to tear the whole thing down. Pull the fish out, dump the water, scrub every surface until it gleams, rinse the filter under the tap, and start fresh. And that instinct, the single most natural instinct a frustrated fish keeper has, is the exact instinct that kills more fish than almost anything else in this hobby. Because here is what nobody tells you at the pet store. A filthy-looking aquarium and a biologically dangerous aquarium are not the same thing. And the way most people clean a dirty tank does far more damage than the dirt ever could. Today I'm going to show you how to take a genuinely filthy aquarium and make it clean, clear, and healthy without hurting a single fish. Not the way the box instructions tell you, not the way the guy at the pet store tells you. The way experienced hobbyists have quietly done it for decades. And by the end of this, you will understand why the aquarium that looks the dirtiest is often the one closest to being perfectly stable, and why the sparkling clean tank in the store display is frequently a death trap waiting to happen. Let me start with the single most important idea in this entire video, because if you understand only this, you will already be ahead of most people who have kept fish for years. There are two completely different kinds of dirty in an aquarium, and they require opposite responses. The first kind is cosmetic dirt. This is the algae on the glass, the debris on the substrate, the film on the surface, the gunk in the filter. It looks bad. It offends your sense of cleanliness, but most of it is either harmless or actively beneficial to the health of your tank. The second kind is chemical dirt. This is invisible. It is dissolved ammonia, nitrite, and nitrate building up in the water column from fish waste and decomposing food. You cannot see it. The water can look crystal clear and be lethal, or look like green soup and be perfectly safe. This is the trap. Beginners attack the dirt they can see and completely ignore the dirt that actually harms their fish. And in the process of attacking the visible dirt, they usually destroy the very thing protecting the fish from the invisible dirt. That very thing is your biological filter. Living on every surface inside your aquarium, on the sponge in your filter, on the ceramic media, on the substrate, on the decorations, even on the glass itself, are colonies of beneficial bacteria. These bacteria are the engine of your entire tank. They take the toxic ammonia your fish produce every second of every day and convert it into nitrite and then into far less toxic nitrate. Without them, ammonia accumulates, and your fish begin to suffocate and burn in their own waste. These bacteria are not in the water. They are on the surfaces. That brown gunk you desperately want to scrub away in your filter is not filth. It is the densest concentration of life support bacteria in your entire system. And every single time a beginner rips out that gunk, rinses the filter media under a hot tap, and scrubs every surface clean, they are performing an execution. They are killing the colony that keeps their fish alive, and then wondering why the fish start dying a week later. And this is the part that makes it so cruel. The damage does not show up immediately. You do the big clean, the tank looks beautiful, the water sparkles, and for the first day or two, you feel like you have finally sorted it out. Then 3 or 4 days later, the ammonia begins to climb because the colony that was processing it is gone. The fish start hanging near the surface, gasping, clamping their fins, sitting listlessly in a corner. And because the crash comes days after the cleaning, the connection is invisible to most people. They do not blame the scrubbing, they blame the fish for being weak, or the water for being bad, or bad luck. They go back to the store, buy replacement fish, and maybe some medication, and the whole cycle begins again. The tank never stabilizes because the one thing keeping it stable is destroyed on a regular schedule by the very person trying to care for it. This is the single most common reason beginners fail in this hobby, and it is entirely preventable once you understand what that gunk actually is. So let me be absolutely clear about the goal here. When we clean a filthy aquarium, we are not trying to sterilize it, we are trying to remove the excess waste and cosmetic buildup while protecting and preserving the bacterial colony at all costs. Clean the tank, save the bacteria. That is the entire philosophy. Everything I'm about to show you serves that single principle. Here is where we begin. Before you touch anything, before you put a hand in the water, test the water. Get a liquid test kit, not the paper strips, and check your ammonia, your nitrite, and your nitrate. This tells you which kind of dirty you are actually dealing with. If your ammonia and nitrite read 0 and your nitrate is simply high, then your tank is biologically healthy and only needs cosmetic cleaning and a water change. If your ammonia or nitrite are reading above 0, you have a genuine chemical problem, and that changes your approach, which I will come back to. But most filthy-looking tanks, the ones with the algae and the debris and the haze, are biologically fine underneath. They just look neglected. Knowing this before you start is what separates a calm, correct cleaning from a panicked overreaction that harms your fish. I want to sit on this point for a moment because it is the mental shift that changes everything about how you approach a dirty tank. Most people clean their aquarium based on how it looks. They see algae, they scrub. They see debris, they siphon it all. They see brown filter media, they replace it. Their entire decision-making process is driven by their eyes and their sense of disgust. But your fish do not care how the tank looks. Your fish care about what is dissolved in the water they are breathing. A test kit lets you see the tank the way your fish experience it, not the way your eyes judge it. Once you start cleaning based on the numbers instead of the appearance, you stop overreacting to harmless dirt and you start responding correctly to the dangers that actually matter. A 5-minute test at the start of a cleaning session will save you from 90% of the mistakes that harm fish because it tells you the truth that your eyes cannot. Now the actual cleaning, in the correct order. And the order matters enormously, so follow it exactly. Start with the glass. Take an algae scraper or a magnetic cleaner and gently work the green film off the inside of the glass. Do this first while the tank is still full, because all the algae and debris you knock loose will be lifted into the water column, where you can then remove it in the next steps. If you clean the substrate first and the glass second, you just drop all that dislodged algae right back onto the substrate you already cleaned. Glass first. Always. And you do not need it perfect. A little algae on the back and side glass is genuinely good for the tank. It provides grazing for your fish and extra surface area for beneficial bacteria. Clean the front pane for viewing and leave the back if you like. The tank does not need to look like a laboratory. Next, the decorations and hardscape, but only if they genuinely need it. If your rocks, driftwood, and ornaments are coated in so much algae or debris that it bothers you, remove them and clean them, but here's the critical rule. Never clean them with soap, never clean them with any household cleaner, and never rinse them under hot tap water. Take them out and scrub them in a bucket of the water you're about to remove from the tank during your water change. Old tank water. This rinses off the excess without annihilating the bacteria living on those surfaces. The chlorine and chloramine in your tap water are toxic to your biological colony, and hot water cooks whatever survives the chlorine. A bucket of old tank water is the only safe cleaning solution for anything that lives inside your aquarium. Now the substrate, and this is where the real waste lives. Buried in your gravel or sitting on top of your sand is the accumulated detritus of your tank. Uneaten food, fish waste, decomposing plant matter. This is genuine waste that should be removed, and the tool for the job is a gravel vacuum, also called a siphon. This single tool does 2 jobs at once, and this is the elegant part. As you push the gravel vacuum into the substrate, it pulls out the trapped debris while simultaneously siphoning out the water. Your substrate cleaning and your water change happen in the same motion. You are removing the visible waste and diluting the invisible waste in one step. Work the vacuum across the substrate in sections, letting it draw up the debris until the water running through it comes clear, then move to the next section. But here is the rule that protects your fish, and almost nobody follows it. Do not vacuum the entire substrate in one session. Clean no more than 1/3 to 1/2 of the substrate surface at a time, and rotate which section you do each time you clean. Your substrate is a massive reservoir of beneficial bacteria. If you deep clean all of it at once, you strip out too much of your colony in a single go, and you can trigger an ammonia spike days later. By cleaning only a portion each time, you remove the waste while leaving enough of the bacterial population intact to keep the tank stable. Half the substrate this week, the other half next time. Patience here is the difference between a stable tank and a crashed one. While you are vacuuming, you are removing water, and this is your water change happening naturally. For a filthy tank, aim to remove somewhere between 1/4 and 1/3 of the total water volume. Not more. I know the instinct on a dirty tank is to change as much water as possible, to get all that nasty water out and replace it with fresh, clean water. Resist that instinct completely. A massive water change on an established tank swings the water chemistry, the temperature, and the mineral balance too fast, and that sudden swing shocks your fish far more than slightly dirty water ever would. Fish adapt to gradual conditions. What harms them is rapid change. Removing a quarter to a third at a time, done more frequently if needed, is how you clean up a neglected tank safely over a couple of weeks, rather than crashing it in a single afternoon. Before I move on to the filter, which is the part everyone gets catastrophically wrong, I want to mention something for anyone who wants to go deeper than a single video allows. Everything I am teaching here, the biology of why gunk matters, the exact rhythms of safe maintenance, the way to read a tank instead of just reacting to it, I have put into a collection of ebooks written in the same plain language I use in these videos. No fluff, every word earns its place. They are the complete version of what I cover here, including a full walkthrough of rescuing and stabilizing a badly neglected tank without losing fish. The whole collection is linked in the description and the top pinned comment, and there is a launch discount applied automatically right now. Now let me show you the filter, because this is where good intentions kill the most fish. Your filter is the single most concentrated home for beneficial bacteria in your entire aquarium. The media inside it, the sponges, the ceramic rings, the pads, is coated in the densest bacterial colony you have. And it will, over time, get visibly dirty. It will turn brown. It will develop that thick, gunky, slightly slimy coating that makes every instinct in your body want to throw it away and put in something clean and white. Do not. That brown gunk is the point. That is your colony. That is the living population doing the single most important job in your tank. When your filter flow slows down and it genuinely needs maintenance, here is how you clean it without destroying it. Unplug the filter. Take out the sponges and the media. Then, in a bucket of old tank water you remove during your water change, gently squeeze the sponges. You will see clouds of brown come out into the bucket. That is the excess detritus clogging the flow, and removing it restores the water movement. Squeeze them 2 or 3 times, just until the flow will be restored, and then put them straight back. You are not trying to make them clean. You are trying to make them functional. A filter sponge should go back into the filter still brown, still colonized, still alive. Never rinse filter media under the tap. The chlorine in your tap water will slaughter the colony you have spent months building, and a filter full of dead bacteria is a filter that can no longer protect your fish from ammonia. And if you have multiple pieces of media in your filter, and they are all filthy, do not clean all of them on the same day. Clean half of your media 1 week and the other half a couple of weeks later, exactly like the substrate. This keeps a reserve of bacteria untouched at all times, so even the gentle cleaning you are doing never drops your colony low enough to cause a problem. Stagger everything. That is the professional habit that keeps mature tanks running for years without a single crash. Now what about that persistent haze, the cloudy water that will not clear no matter how much you change? There are 2 common causes, and they call for opposite responses. If the water is a green tint, that is a bloom of suspended algae, and it is driven by excess light and excess nutrients. The fix is not more cleaning. The fix is less light and less feeding. Cut your lighting hours down, stop overfeeding, and the bloom starves out over time. If the water is a gray or white haze, that is usually a bacterial bloom, and this one is important to understand. A white haze often appears right after someone has done exactly the aggressive overcleaning I have been warning you about. It is the water reacting to a disturbed system, and the correct response to a bacterial bloom is almost nothing. Do not do more water changes. Do not add chemicals. Leave the tank alone. Keep feeding light and let the biology rebalance itself. It will clear on its own within a few days to a week. Fighting it makes it worse. This brings me back to the tank where your test kit showed genuine ammonia or nitrite in the water, the real chemical problem. If that is your situation, the visible cleaning I have described still applies, but your priority shifts. You need to reduce that toxic load immediately with a water change, and you need to keep the fish safe while your biological filter recovers or establishes. That means smaller, more frequent water changes to keep the ammonia diluted, light feeding or no feeding for a few days to reduce the waste going in, and patience while the bacterial colony catches up. Do not tear the tank apart in a panic. The chemical problem is solved by protecting and growing your bacteria, which is the exact opposite of scrubbing everything sterile. Everything comes back to the same principle. Clean the tank, save the bacteria. Let me pull all of this together into the rhythm that keeps a tank from ever getting filthy again. Because the real secret is that a clean aquarium is not achieved through heroic deep cleans. It is achieved through small, consistent, gentle maintenance. Once every week or two, you do a modest water change of a quarter of the volume using your gravel vacuum. Cleaning one section of substrate at a time. You wipe the viewing glass. You give the filter a gentle squeeze in old tank water, only when the flow drops, and only ever a portion of the media at once. You feed lightly, only with the fish finish in a couple of minutes, because most of the waste in a filthy tank started life as food the fish never ate. That is the entire routine. It takes 15 minutes, and a tank maintained on that rhythm never becomes the green, hazy, debris-choked mess that made you want to tear it all down in the first place. The aquarium industry, and frankly, the general culture around fish keeping, has sold people a completely backwards idea of what clean means. They have trained you to equate clean with sterile, to reach for the scrub brush and the tap water, and the fresh white filter cartridge, to treat your tank like a bathroom that needs disinfecting. But an aquarium is not a bathroom. It is a living biological system, and the brown gunk, the seasoned filter, the mature colonized surfaces are not signs of neglect. They are signs of health. The dirtiest looking part of your tank is very often the part keeping your fish alive. The people who have kept fish successfully for 10 and 20 years understand this in their bones. They clean gently, they clean partially, they protect the gunk, and their tanks are clear and stable year after year, while beginners crash tank after tank chasing a sterile ideal that was never healthy to begin with. So the next time you look at your filthy aquarium and feel that urge to tear it all down and start fresh, stop. Test the water first. Clean the glass, then the hardscape in old tank water, then vacuum a portion of the substrate as you change a quarter of the water. Squeeze part of the filter media in old tank water only. Leave the rest alone and let the biology do its work. Clean the tank, save the bacteria. That is the whole secret, and now you have it. If this video helped you, please give it a like and subscribe so you never miss another one.